May 15th, 1943, 200 miles southwest of Iceland. U-boat 456 surfaces into pitch darkness. The watch officer scans the empty horizon through his binoculars. No moon pierces the thick overcast above. These are perfect conditions for a surface attack. Then brilliant white light explodes from the sky. A Leigh Light mounted beneath a Liberator bomber pins the submarine in its glare. Depth charges bracket the hull before the startled crew can crash dive. U-456 becomes one of 6 boats lost that night. The German submarine force will never recover from these losses. The Battle of the Atlantic has turned decisively. Technology has stolen the protective darkness from the wolf packs. For 3 years, German U-boats dominated the Atlantic darkness. Admiral Karl Dönitz built his entire strategy on surface night attacks. Submerged, a Type 7 submarine made only 7 knots. On the surface, diesel engines pushed 17 while convoys crawled at 8. U-boats operated like torpedo boats at night, using speed and low profiles to penetrate escort screens. Submarines attacked from positions ahead of convoys. They slipped between escort vessels under cover of darkness. Lookouts spotted merchant silhouettes against the horizon. The period from 1940 to 1942 saw the happy time. U-boats sank 3,000 Allied ships in these years. Britain nearly starved from the losses. Radar existed, but early sets could not detect surface submarines reliably. The small conning tower returned almost no signal. Destroyers passed within 500 yards of surfaced boats without detecting them. Werner Henke commanded U-515 through 20 patrols. He described their advantage with stark simplicity. We owned the darkness completely. Night surface tactics let fewer than 30 boats at sea threaten Britain's survival. Dönitz concentrated these submarines into coordinated wolf packs. Radio coordination brought multiple boats against single convoys. By late 1942, monthly losses exceeded 700,000 tons. Churchill later wrote that U-boats were his only true fear during the war. The submarines held every advantage after sunset. Scientists at the Telecommunications Research Establishment worked through 1941 on new detection systems. They developed ASV Mark II radar for maritime patrol aircraft. ASV radar transmitted radio waves that bounced off objects and returned to the aircraft. The 1.5-meter wavelength could detect surface submarines at 5 miles. Coastal Command equipped Sunderland flying boats and Wellington bombers with the new sets. Pilots could now track U-boats far beyond visual range, but radar alone could not sink submarines at night. Aircraft still needed visual contact for accurate attacks. Night approaches continued to fail without this final element. Squadron leader Humphrey de Verde Lee solved this remaining problem. He mounted a 24-inch naval searchlight under a Wellington bomber. The modified light threw 20 million candle power. Tests began in March 1941 with immediate success. The combination proved lethal. Radar guided aircraft to submarines and light illuminated them for attack. The first operational success came June 4th, 1942. A Wellington caught U-502 on the surface and sank it. The Italian submarine Morosini fell to the same tactics weeks later. Coastal Command refined the approach through 1942. Aircraft approached targets at 1,000 feet using radar guidance. At 1 mile, they descended rapidly to 200 feet. Pilots switched on the Leigh Light at 3/4 of a mile. This gave submarines only 30 seconds before depth charges arrived. Too little time to crash dive. By early 1943, 70 aircraft carried Leigh Lights. U-boats could no longer surface safely at night near Britain. Their hunting ground was shrinking rapidly. German wolfpack tactics required constant radio coordination. Every transmission became a vulnerability. Allied engineers exploited this weakness. High-frequency direction. Finding networks triangulated radio signals from U-boats. Shore stations in Britain, Iceland, and Newfoundland listened constantly. Operators could locate a transmitting submarine within 50 miles. The Admiralty established 24 shore stations by 1942 using special Adcock antenna arrays. Multiple stations compared bearings to pinpoint positions through triangulation. 3 stations could fix a position in minutes. The Western Approaches Command received plots within an hour. Convoy routes shifted away from detected wolf packs. Shore-based systems had limits. Mid-ocean transmissions fell outside reliable range. Ships needed their own direction-finding capability. Lieutenant Commander Peter Gretton pushed for shipboard systems. The FH-3HF/DF set entered service in 1942. Operators quickly nicknamed it Huff Duff. Escort vessels mounted antennas high on their masts. A trained operator could take bearings in seconds. 2 ships working together provided instant triangulation. U-boats transmitted sighting reports as soon as they found convoys. Huff Duff-equipped escorts instantly knew the bearing to the threat and raced to attack. By spring 1943, most escort groups carried Huff Duff. U-boat commanders noticed escorts arriving whenever they transmitted. Radio discipline collapsed as fear spread through the fleet. Aircraft proved the most effective U-boat killers, but land-based planes could not reach the mid-Atlantic. A 600-mile gap existed beyond air cover. Wolf packs concentrated their operations in this black pit. Convoys suffered their worst losses there. The Admiralty needed aircraft that could reach mid-ocean. Consolidated B-24 Liberators had the range, but bomber commands resisted releasing them for naval duty. The bureaucratic fight dragged through 1942. Coastal Command finally received modified Liberators in late 1942. These very long-range aircraft could patrol 2,000 miles from base. They carried ASV radar and 8 depth charges. 15 Liberators operated by March 1943 from Iceland and Northern Ireland. The air gap shrunk to 300 miles. America offered another solution: escort carriers bringing aircraft to convoys. USS Bogue commissioned in September 1942. These small ships carried 12 Wildcat fighters and 9 Avenger torpedo bombers, patrolling 150 miles around convoys. HMS Archer joined the Atlantic Battle in March 1943. British and American escort carriers provided continuous coverage across the ocean. Escort aircraft did more than hunt submarines. They forced U-boats underwater before attacks could form. Submerged boats could not keep pace with convoys. By May 1943, 6 escort carriers operated in the Atlantic. Combined with VLR Liberators, they eliminated the air gap. U-boats had nowhere left to hide. Technology alone did not defeat the U-boats. Success required integration with intelligence and tactics. Admiral Max Horton centralized convoy routing and escort allocation in Liverpool headquarters. The tracking room maintained constant plots using ultra-intelligence and HF/DF bearings. Support groups of fast escorts reinforced threatened convoys and pursued contacts to exhaustion. Commander Frederick John Walker perfected offensive hunting tactics. His second support group sank 6 U-boats in one patrol, maintaining sonar contact for hours until each target was destroyed. Training schools standardized anti-submarine warfare procedures. Photo reconnaissance and radio intercepts fed real-time intel. Evasive routing alone saved hundreds of ships. Operational research scientists analyzed every convoy battle to improve depth charge patterns and search plans. Knowledge spread rapidly through the fleet. May 1943 opened with unprecedented U-boat concentrations. Dunitz massed 40 boats against convoy ONS-5 seeking a decisive victory. Multiple detection technologies converged on the Wolfpack. Radar spotted surfaced boats at maximum range. Huff Duff revealed every radio transmission. The destroyer HMS Duncan tracked contacts through the night. Her Type 271 radar penetrated the dark. Hedgehog mortars destroyed U-638 at close range. U-125 attempted a surface approach at midnight. HMS Snowflake detected it at 3,000 yards. Starshells illuminated the target for gunfire. Liberators from Iceland spotted U-710 running on the surface. The submarine fought back with anti-aircraft guns, but depth charges sealed its fate. HMS Pelican demonstrated perfected hunter-killer tactics against U-438. The sloop maintained sonar contact through 6 hours of attacks. 22 patterns finally forced the boat to surface. Technology stripped away every U-boat advantage. They could not surface without radar detection or transmit without revealing their position. The second week of May brought catastrophic losses. U-boats attacked 3 convoys simultaneously and met coordinated resistance. Coastal Command flights patrolled the Bay of Biscay night and day. Carrier-based Avengers struck before submarines could dive. Support groups sank boat after boat. 41 U-boats were lost in 30 days. Only 58 merchant ships sank in return. The exchange became unsustainable. Dönitz received devastating reports of overwhelming Allied technology. On May 24th, he recalled all boats from the North Atlantic. The withdrawal became permanent. Germany attempted countermeasures through 1943. Mitoch's radar detectors warned of ASV emissions. Submarines dove on detection. Scientists developed the Schnorkel breathing tube to run diesels while submerged, but speed dropped to 6 knots, and the wake remained visible. Anti-aircraft armament increased on U-boats. Some carried 4 20mm guns. Crews were ordered to fight on the surface. Centimetric radar soon defeated these defences. Aircraft attacked before guns could fire. Germany designed advanced submarines like the Type 21 capable of 17 knots submerged, but production delays kept them from combat. Acoustic homing torpedoes targeted escort propellers until Allies deployed Fokker noisemakers. U-boats moved to distant waters off West Africa and the Indian Ocean, but found few targets. 75% of U-boat sailors died in service. By 1944, U-boats sank only 200,000 tons monthly while losing hundreds of boats. Dönitz kept operations for strategic diversion, tying down escorts but no longer threatening Britain. The Atlantic victory proved integrated systems beat individual platforms. Information flowed between ships and aircraft. Intelligence guided every decision. Radar and HF/DF gave detection. Escort carriers and long-range planes removed sanctuaries. The Leigh Light turned radar into a night weapon. Huff Duff guided escorts to contacts. 2 million American soldiers crossed the Atlantic safely. Britain received food and fuel. The Normandy invasion sailed unhindered. Technology gave the Allies their edge, but victory came from integration of tools, tactics, and intelligence. Escort groups protected 3,700 convoys and delivered 300 million tons of cargo. Democracy survived because technology stole darkness from the wolves. Admiral Dönitz later called May 1943 the decisive turning point. Radar conquered the night. Direction finding revealed every position. Aircraft covered the ocean. The age of the lone submarine raider had ended forever. Future naval warfare would require fully integrated systems. The Atlantic taught that lesson in the hardest possible school.